This is one of the most powerful pathfinding exploits I've ever found in Minecraft, and it's usable in survival. It allows you to easily and visibly manipulate where mobs will pathfind to, which can be used to funnel mobs into traps, optimize farms, or even create invisible AI paths. In this video, I'm going to show you how to hijack Minecraft's AI and bend it to your will. By the end, you'll understand that mob pathfinding isn't random at all, it's predictable, score-based, and fully exploitable. Some of the tricks shown in this video are pretty insane, so make sure to stick around to the end. Before you're ready to do all of that though, I first need to explain how mob AI actually works. The AI for all mobs starts with AI goals. These tell us what the mob can do and how likely it is to do it. The one we're going to focus on today is water avoiding random stroll. Note that it has a priority of 7. Lower numbers mean higher priority. Higher priority behaviors can interrupt lower priority behaviors. Every tick, the goal's can use function is called, which determines when it gets triggered. This occurs on a random interval, which is defaulted to 1 in 60. If the 1 in 60 chance hits, the mob will wander, otherwise it won't this tick. Next, let's see what happens when the mob actually does wander. To determine where the mob will pathfind to, the get position function is called. This first checks that the mob is not within water. If this is the case, then the code will randomly decide whether to use a random land position or just a random position. The odds of the latter happening are quite literally 0.1%. It is helpful to note here that the two numbers at the end of this call represent the XZ radius and the Y radius, respectively. This is the range that the random point can be in. However, if the mob is in water, we check an even wider range. If it fails to pathfind to land in that call, then it'll just default to a regular get position call, which can pathfind into water. This means that mobs prefer to pathfind out of water. Let's go ahead and step into land random pause, because this is where things get weird. First, in get pause, we check if the mob is restricted. Being attached to a lead is one example of this. Next, we're going to generate a candidate position for the mob to pathfind to. And now this is where things get kind of crazy. Some of the blocks chosen as candidates are going to be inside of blocks. To remedy this problem, and to try and keep it as efficient as possible, the code simply moves them up. Now on the surface, this isn't a bad idea. It makes use of all those unused calls that are below the ground, which improves performance. However, this optimization also leads to some undesired results. The most obvious being that mobs prefer to pathfind to high ground. This happens due to the higher density of blocks in high ground areas. While this effect is not desired, it is exploitable. If we can recreate the conditions that cause mobs to prefer to pathfind to high areas, then we can control where mobs pathfind to. Take a look at this setup. This is the setup from the beginning of the video. By placing these extra blocks on the right side, we give the pigs more opportunities to pathfind to that side, thereby biasing them in that direction heavily. This works because any positions chosen within the green are moved immediately up to the top of the green by the move out of solid function. By contrast, any positions chosen under the red simply fail because they're in air. This leads to the biased distribution you see here. But what can we actually do with it? Take a look at these 3 pyramids. From the top down, they're identical, but we can tell from the pigs pathfinding around on top that the underside doesn't tell the same story. For example, the bottom left pyramid has all the pigs pathfinding towards the middle. The top pyramid has all the pigs pathfinding towards the outside, and the rightmost pyramid has all the pigs pathfinding fairly randomly. This can actually all be fairly easily explained by just looking underneath. The first pyramid is completely solid. This means that the pigs prefer to pathfind towards the higher points since they have more blocks underneath them. Pyramid number 2, by contrast, is completely hollow, except for the outside, which has a thick layer of blocks. This causes the pigs to prefer to pathfind to the outside. Finally, the third pyramid is just completely hollow, leading to a completely random distribution. This is just 3 simple examples of what you can do with this feature, and we can take it a lot further. Check this out. Before a mob actually pathfinds to a point, a final processing step is done to determine where it will actually pathfind to. In this step, the 10 candidates generated by the previous steps are then chosen and scored. The highest scoring position is the one the mob actually pathfinds to. Now this is pretty neat, because if we know how to make a block score higher, we can make mobs pathfind to it. So here's the quick rundown on what mobs prefer. Animals like grass blocks and well-lit blocks. If you're curious, here's the conversion from light level to pathfinding score. We can actually combine this with the high ground thing to make this fenceless pig pen. Monsters, on the other hand, prefer darker places, using the inverse of this light score function. Turtles prefer water or sand, but also like well-lit blocks. Hoglins avoid warped fungus, but like crimson nylium. Striders like lava, and they don't want to go anywhere else. In addition to following regular monster logic, silverfish also like to pathfind to blocks they can infest. Guardians like water, obviously, but they also like higher light levels. Mushrooms like mycelium and welded blocks. And last but not least, bees, when wandering, prefer air over other non-solids. Now that you've seen how all of this works, you're probably already thinking of ways to mess with it. Leave your ideas in the comments, I'd love to see what you people come up with. But before you run off to test it, there's still one more tool you'll need. Minecraft mobs use A-star pathfinding to navigate. This means that once the mob has chosen its block that it's going to navigate to, it generates an optimal path to travel there. Now how it actually does this is a bit more complicated, and it's outside the scope for this video, but to use it you need to know two things. One is that a mob will always choose the most optimal path to get to its target destination. The second is that a mob will only pathfind up to a number of blocks equal to its follow range. This is 16 by default for most mobs. The neat part about this is, if a mob can't reach the block it's trying to pathfind to in 16 blocks, it'll actually choose to pathfind to the closest block it can reach. This means we can create monoliths like this that the pig will try to reach even though it can't actually reach it in its 16 steps. Since it always chooses the closest block, its movement is actually very predictable, and in this example the pig will almost always choose the top path. This opens up a whole new world of possibilities, because now you don't even have to have a direct path for the pigs to pathfind to, or any mob for that matter. An inert stone pillar in the middle of this platform causes all of the pigs to run into the center. Think of the possible application for farm designs. If this video inspired you, or you have any other questions, please drop a comment below. I'll be responding to as many as I can. The amount of research, code reading, and testing that goes into making these videos is nothing to laugh at, so if you do like videos like this, please make sure to let me know. If you enjoyed the content, please make sure to subscribe, it really helps my channel out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.